All right, we need to talk about what's happening right now because a major winter storm is actively impacting half the country as I'm recording this. This system is bringing a dangerous combination of heavy snow, crippling ice, and brutally cold temperatures from New Mexico all the way to Massachusetts. We're talking about ice accumulations up to 3/4 of an inch in some locations. Snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour. And wind chills dropping to 50 below zero. This is going to impact millions of people through the weekend and into early next week. So let me break down exactly what you need to know. Before we dive into the details, drop your city or region in the comments below, and I'll give you the specific forecast for your area. Let's start with where we are right now, because Arctic air has made a massive push southward, bringing dangerously cold temperatures across a huge portion of the country. This Arctic blast has reached all the way to Texas and the Gulf Coast, and it's currently pushing into Alabama and Georgia this afternoon. Temperature departures across the southern and central plains are running an incredible 40 to 45 degrees below normal, and this is happening during the climatologically coldest time of year. This morning's wind chill values paint a stark picture with readings of 30 to 40 below zero across the upper Midwest and southeastern Canada. The sub-zero wind chill line extended remarkably far south this morning, reaching cities like Amarillo, Oklahoma City, Little Rock, Memphis, Lexington, and even parts of central Virginia. As we move through this afternoon, wind chills will improve slightly but still remain below zero from Illinois through Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, and into the Texas Panhandle. The coldest wind chills this afternoon will be in northwest Maine, where we're looking at readings around 40 below, which is life-threatening if you're exposed. Tomorrow morning brings even more dangerous conditions, with wind chills near 50 below in North Dakota and northern Minnesota. Even by tomorrow afternoon, we're still looking at 30 below readings across these areas, so this extreme cold is absolutely not going anywhere quickly. Now let's talk about the winter storm itself, and the current alerts tell you everything you need to know about just how widespread this system is. We have widespread winter storm warnings in pink stretching from New Mexico all the way to Massachusetts and Cape Cod, covering well over 1,000 miles. The purple or violet colors you see from East Texas through southwestern Tennessee, those are ice storm warnings where significant ice accumulations are occurring right now. We also have ice storm warnings across East Tennessee, North Georgia, and western and central Carolina. So if you're in that purple zone, this directly affects you. Ice accumulations in these warned areas will be significant enough to impact not just travel, but power infrastructure as well across multiple states. Widespread power outages are possible, and they could last days, potentially even weeks in some of the hardest hit areas with the heaviest ice. This is something we're monitoring very closely as we go through the weekend, and I'll explain exactly why this ice threat is so dangerous in just a moment. Right now, at this hour, ice is actively setting up across East Texas through portions of northern Louisiana into Arkansas, northern Mississippi, and southwest Tennessee. We've also got snow starting to move into the Ohio Valley, and that's going to expand significantly through the afternoon and evening hours. As we go through this afternoon and evening, snowfall will spread across parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley, with a very long swath of icing concerns stretching from Texas all the way to the Carolinas. By tomorrow morning around daybreak on Sunday, heavy snowfall will be moving through the Ohio Valley from portions of Illinois all the way to Pennsylvania. We could be seeing snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour in many locations, while ice continues across East Texas through the lower Ohio River Valley, the Tennessee Valley, the Carolinas, and even North Georgia. For the Northeast, we're expecting some heavy snowfall and possibly even a frontogenesis band to set up for Boston and areas along the Northeast coast. Frontogenesis snow is particularly intense and can produce snowfall rates of 3 inches or greater per hour, which will cause totals to add up extremely quickly. Now let me give you specific city-by-city forecast, because this is where you really need to know what to expect for your particular area. For Dallas-Fort Worth, it's snowing right now, and you're going to transition to freezing rain later today, with ice accumulations that could cause widespread power outages across the entire metroplex. San Antonio sits right in that transition zone where rain could mix with or change over to freezing rain, so you need to monitor conditions very closely throughout the day. Austin is looking at one of the most significant winter weather events in over a decade, with a dangerous mix of snow transitioning to ice through tonight. Oklahoma City is dealing with heavy snow right now, and you'll see totals of 8 additional inches on top of what you already have accumulated on the ground. Tulsa is looking at very similar conditions, with snow accumulations reaching 8 to 9 inches total when this event is all said and done. For Bentonville, Arkansas, you're in an all-snow scenario with significant accumulations expected through tomorrow, and travel will be extremely hazardous. Little Rock is looking at one of the worst ice storms in years, with the potential for 3/4 of an inch of ice, which is absolutely catastrophic for power infrastructure. Shreveport and Monroe are right in the bullseye for the most extreme ice accumulations, potentially reaching up to an inch in some locations. Jackson, Mississippi could see this become the most significant winter weather event since that historic 2021 ice storm that many of you remember. Memphis is looking at a prolonged freezing rain event that could cause major disruptions to both power and travel across the entire metro area. Nashville is currently experiencing heavy snow, but there's a possibility that warmer air aloft could transition some areas to freezing rain, which might actually reduce total ice accumulations. Knoxville and Chattanooga are likely to see mostly rain due to that warm layer aloft, which will significantly cut down on your snow and ice totals. For Louisville, Kentucky, you're looking at potential totals of 12 to 14 inches of snow, with heavy snowfall rates continuing through tomorrow. Lexington was forecast for 15 inches by some forecasters yesterday, but we're seeing 7 to 8 inches as more realistic due to a likely transition to sleet. Cincinnati is looking really good for snow, with potential totals reaching 14 inches on the high end. All snow with no mixing expected. Columbus, Ohio is looking at 13 inches on the high end, with heavy snowfall moving through Sunday morning into the afternoon. Indianapolis could see up to 12 inches with this system, creating major travel disruptions across central Indiana. St. Louis is looking at totals around 8 to 9 inches, which sounds more realistic based on current model trends. Kansas City sits right on that critical edge between heavy snow to the north and ice to the south. So even a slight shift in the track makes a massive difference for your forecast. For the Carolinas, Charlotte is dealing with ice concerns that could significantly impact power infrastructure across the metro area. Raleigh and Durham are in a very similar situation, with ice accumulations possible that could bring down tree branches and power lines. Richmond, Virginia is looking at a mix of snow and ice, with accumulations that will create hazardous travel conditions. Washington, D.C. and Baltimore could see 7 to 8 inches of snow, though there's definitely a chance that sleet mixing in could knock those totals down somewhat. Philadelphia is looking at 8 to 9 inches, with heavy snow beginning tonight and continuing through tomorrow morning. New York City has the potential for 10 to 11 inches, though some models are showing sleet mixing in, which could reduce totals slightly. Boston is where things get really interesting, with that deformation band potentially dropping snow at rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour. We could see totals reaching 13 to 16 inches across the Boston metro area, making this a significant snowstorm for southern New England. Albany, New York could potentially see up to 19 inches of snow, with a very real scenario where much of upstate New York ends up with more than a foot. Buffalo and Syracuse are looking at heavy lake effect enhancement on top of the system's snow, so totals could be quite impressive. Pittsburgh is looking at 14 inches on the high end, with all snow and no mixing issues expected for the Pittsburgh metro area. Now here's what makes this ice storm so particularly dangerous, and why we've been emphasizing preparation so heavily over the past few days. Ice accumulations of just 1/4 inch are enough to snap tree branches and bring down power lines across affected areas. We're looking at potential accumulations of 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch, and in some extreme cases, up to a full inch of ice. That's absolutely catastrophic for power infrastructure, and we could see widespread outages lasting multiple days across several states. Most southern roads aren't pre-treated for winter weather, so even small amounts of ice make conditions extremely treacherous. We could easily see widespread road closures on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday if this forecast verifies as currently expected. This isn't just about personal travel either. This impacts businesses across multiple states, with potentially 3 full days of shutdowns. What makes this situation even more concerning is the Arctic air that's going to settle in right behind this system. After the storm moves through, temperatures are going to drop to near record levels across the southeast. It's going to be colder than it's been in a very long time in Memphis, Nashville, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, and East Texas. If it's 10 degrees or 0 degrees outside and there's no power, and you don't have some sort of alternate heating source, that becomes a really dangerous situation. This is exactly why we've been emphasizing preparation. Make sure you're checking on your neighbors, especially if they're elderly. Bring your pets inside and make sure you have an alternative heating source that doesn't depend on electricity in your home. If you don't have one, locate the nearest warming shelter, know how to get there, and know how to get your loved ones there if needed. Let me walk you through the timeline in more detail so you know exactly when conditions will deteriorate in your specific area. Tonight around 8 p.m., we're going to have a widespread area of freezing rain from the Mexico border all the way up to the Kentucky-Tennessee border. This will be impacting Austin, San Angelo, Dallas, and Oxford, Mississippi, where some of that heavier freezing rain will be occurring. It's also going to be pretty intense in Nashville, Jackson, Clarksville, and Knoxville, with sustained freezing rain continuing. At the same time tonight, it'll be all snow in Oklahoma City, Lubbock, Bentonville, Kansas City, Springfield, and St. Louis. Snow will just be getting started in Columbus, Ohio, and areas west of Richmond, Virginia by 8 p.m. tonight. By 9 a.m. Sunday morning, our massive ice storm will be completely underway across the Deep South. We're going to have power outage problems from Jackson, Mississippi up to Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and back into Memphis. From the time freezing rain starts in Nashville all the way through 9 a.m. Sunday, it's going to be a relentless, non-stop freezing rain event. The one thing that could save Nashville and Clarksville from a more serious ice storm is that warm nose keeping some areas as plain rain. If that warm layer ends up being thicker than currently modeled, it could reduce ice accumulations but shift the problems farther west toward Memphis and Jackson. For the Ohio Valley and Northeast, heavy snow will be the dominant story through Sunday morning, with rates of 1 to 2 inches per hour widespread. By Sunday afternoon, the heaviest snow will be impacting the Northeast with that potential deformation band setting up over Boston. This is when we could see those extreme snowfall rates of 3 to 4 inches per hour, which will cause totals to pile up very rapidly. Monday morning will still feature heavy snow causing problems from Boston up to Maine, with residual ice issues from Charlotte up to Richmond. Now let me address something important about the forecast models, because there's been some disagreement that I want to clarify for you. Along the I-95 corridor from Washington all the way to New York, we have to watch for that warm nose starting to work its way into the system. This is always the wild card when we're talking about East Coast snow. How much is that warm air going to win and potentially reduce snow totals? I still think there's a good chance we stay all snow in New York City, but some models are showing sleet mixing in at times. That's brought the totals down slightly from earlier model runs, but we're still looking at 10 to 11 inches in New York as a very realistic scenario. It's definitely going to start off as a big thumping of snow, causing major travel problems before any potential mixing occurs. Don't get emotionally attached to specific numbers from any one model. The situation remains fluid and totals could shift over the next 24 hours. What I can tell you with confidence is that this will be a high-impact winter storm regardless of the exact snow totals. Let's talk about what you should be doing right now to prepare, because waiting until late Friday or Saturday morning is way too late. Stock up on supplies in case you lose power, including flashlights, batteries, non-perishable food, and plenty of water. Charge all your devices right now and have backup power options ready for phones and any essential equipment you might need. Make sure you have a way to stay warm if the power goes out. Extra blankets and alternative heat sources are absolutely critical. Avoid travel from Friday through Sunday if at all possible. This is absolutely not a storm you want to be out driving in. If you absolutely must travel, Have an emergency kit in your car with supplies for an extended stay in case you get stranded. Check on elderly neighbors and anyone who might need help preparing, or make sure they know how to reach warming shelters if necessary. Now let's look beyond this current storm, because the pattern we're in suggests this is just the beginning of a very active period. The cold air is absolutely locked in across the southeast for at least the next 6 to 10 days, with temperatures significantly below average. We're also watching signals for additional winter storm potential as we head toward the end of January and into early February. Around January 28th and 29th, there's an opportunity for a system developing mainly offshore, so not a huge immediate threat for the Northeast. But as we move into early February, around the 2nd and 3rd, that's when we really need to watch for potential East Coast winter storm development. Southern stream energy could interact with the cold air that's in place from Georgia up the Carolina coast through the mid-Atlantic and Northeast. This is something we'll be monitoring very closely over the next few days as models come into better agreement on the timing and track. Looking at the broader February outlook, this is going to remain a winter month with continued Arctic air and significant snowfall potential. We're seeing cross-polar flow at times, bringing cold air across Canada, and the subtropical jet may start to activate in the second half of February. As La Niña fades and we transition to more of a neutral pattern, we may see more southern stream storms getting involved in the overall pattern. The deep snowpack that's building across the Ohio Valley and Northeast this weekend will help keep temperatures down through the entire month of February. If you're looking for milder trends, the Gulf Coast and Southwest are where we'll see warmer air overall through the 28 days of February. For active weather, watch the Pacific Northwest, especially in middle to late February, and the East Coast, where we'll continue monitoring for more winter storms. A few of those February storms could be quite significant, so if you missed out on this weekend's snow, don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities ahead. Let me break down February week by week so you have a good sense of what to expect as we move through the month. Week 1, February 1st through the 8th, we'll see Clipper systems diving from northwest to southeast across Canada. A lot of that activity will stay on the Canadian side, but we also have potential for a nor'easter or East Coast snow threat in that first week. From the 8th through the 15th, we're watching energy diving into the Pacific Northwest that could potentially move through the Rockies. A Colorado low-pressure system could develop and move east along the Ohio River, bringing accumulating snow to areas that haven't seen much since around Thanksgiving. That would include Nebraska, South Dakota, Iowa, Northern Illinois, Wisconsin, and Michigan. We may also see more New England snow threats during this period, with coastal areas probably remaining as rain. Between the 15th and 22nd of February, we could see more Mid-Atlantic and I-95 corridor snow developing. And then, from the 22nd through the 28th, it's mainly northern areas and especially the mountains out west that will see the most significant snow. The Sierras could see quite a bit of snow during this period as well. So overall, through early March, it looks pretty snowy across the central United States. If you missed out on this weekend's snowstorm, there will be plenty of opportunities as we go into February across the Central Plains, Midwest, Ohio Valley, and Northeast. Now I want to emphasize one more time, don't be scared. Be prepared, because that's really the key to getting through this safely. This storm has the potential to shut down a large portion of the country for multiple days, but if you're prepared, you'll get through it just fine. Make sure you have your supplies ready, know your heating backup plan, and don't underestimate the ice threat if you're in those warned areas. Again, drop your city or region in the comments, and I'll try to give you more specific information as this situation continues to develop. I'll be tracking this very closely and providing updates throughout the weekend as new model data comes in and the situation evolves. Details will absolutely shift over the next 24 to 48 hours, but the overall signal for a major winter storm is absolutely not going away. If you found this forecast helpful, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss continued updates as we track this system. We'll have another update either later today or tomorrow as the situation develops and we get better clarity on exact impacts. The bottom line is this: we're dealing with a serious winter storm that requires your preparation and attention right now. Stay safe, stay warm, check on your neighbors, and make sure you're ready before this system reaches its peak intensity. Winter has arrived with full force, and based on the pattern we're seeing, this is just the start of a very active period ahead. We'll see you in the next forecast with all the latest updates on this developing winter storm situation.